Hello and welcome to the Gin Weekly Update for Friday, May 19th, 2017. I'm Joel Yeast. As we work our way towards greatness in this club, we're reminded of some of the things that make it so good. All of the training and mentors, the friends and family that we've met along the way, the books, the audios, the videos, those events, some of the places that we've been together. People like Kim Ellis and Joe Mello, who have been to every single event that we've had in Gin. This club is truly a movement, and as we make our way together, we're reminded of some of those moments that we've had, the places that we've been, the lessons that we've learned. And to this day, I still receive messages and see posts on social media about events from last year, and the year before, and even 5 years ago, and about the people that they've met in this club. I think about what I've learned and what this club has brought to me over the years. Positivity, experience, wisdom, and so much more. This week, in the Sip of Gin, we took some of those lessons throughout the week that we've learned, just some of them, and we built on those lessons. For instance, Motivation Monday. We took a known fable, Little Red Riding Hood, and realized that she had to go through the trials and tribulations and the danger of the wolf and the woods, and go through all that in order to come out a brave and better individual on the other side. On Tuesday, we were reminded how we lose balance and gain momentum as we learn to walk or ride a bike, and failure leads to success. Wisdom Wednesday was all about out with the old and in with the new, as we learn to spring clean our lives. On Thursday, we took a quote, a famous, great quote in this club. If you want things in your life to change, you'll have to change things in your life. And we took that quote to new and different levels in a new unit of time. And today, on Freedom Friday, we learned about risk versus reward. I would actually like to continue that lesson with this personal story of mine. You see, I was on a motorcycle trip with my guys, my brother, my uncle, his son. They're like a father and brother to me, respectively. So the three of them and I, when we get together, they're the most significant people in my life. Those trips that we take aren't necessarily just about riding together or the places that we go. It's about the laughing, the mentorship, the trust we have in each other, the conversations, the friendship, the family, the moments. Those unexplainable, unforgettable moments together. When together we make each other's lives better and build upon each other, our personalities. On this trip, we rode through the Rocky Mountains in Colorado in August. August, when the weather is just perfect. The goal was to make it to Telluride, a beautiful, quaint former mining town set in a box canyon among the pine trees and mountains. Telluride is one of those towns that looks like a postcard brought to life. See, I had arranged for us to stay at an amazing place right on Colorado Boulevard. We were about 55 minutes away in Ridgway, Colorado, when the rain picked up. We pulled over and took a vote. Should we stay in this town of Ridgway, a little town, or brave the rain? The vote was tied 2-2, with the two oldest voting to play it safe. Guys, I said, this is not where we want to be. I know it's raining. I know that there's a hotel right there, and I know it's cold outside. But this town is not Telluride. Telluride is our goal. The rain is letting up, and I say we go for it. I got skeptical looks and pushback on safety from my uncle and my brother. "We need to play it safe," my brother John said. "Once we get into that canyon, it's a 2-lane, winding mountain road with no turning back." And Gary, my uncle, added on, "Let's live to ride another day." My cousin Ben, who, as I said, is like a brother to me, spoke up and backed me up. "I don't like the idea," he said, "of being beat by a weather pattern and only being an hour away." And I said, "We'll be better off for getting there. This is my goal for the trip, and I really won't be satisfied with anything else." I was being stubborn, but I had a reason. This town was calling to me, and I wanted them to experience what it was like. See, just then the rain had let up and the sun came out. So with that, I guess I won, and we headed out west into the canyon. A fine mist hit our faces as we rode up the hill. And then record rainfall hit the mountain that day. 10 minutes into the ride, we pulled over to put on our rain gear, and I felt the daggers and looks coming my way. My friends, my family looked at me and they judged. I started to feel this tremendous regret, and my brother's words echoed through my head. What he said before: once we get into that canyon, 2 lanes, winding mountain road with no turning back. Before we got back on the motorcycles, John reminded us all that it's important when you're riding on a motorcycle. He said, "If you're in the rain, don't use your back brake. You'll slide. You want to straighten up the bike and only use the front brake." And this is true. As much as 80% of the stopping power on any vehicle, especially a motorcycle, comes from your front brake. It's a lot to think about when you're riding and you're soaking wet and the rain is hitting your helmet and you're navigating mountain roads with other cars and traffic. So when we were riding, my cousin Ben pulled up next to us and said that his front brake was completely out. We knew we had an issue. We found a place to pull over. The good news was that his back brake was working, but the front brake was completely useless. As our safety broke down, more looks were shot my way. We were only about 10 miles into the ride, and it was a 40-mile trip. It had already been about 45 minutes of riding through the wet and treacherous downpour. When we got back on the bikes, the sun was well over the trees through the clouds, and darkness overtook the mountain. Heavy rain continued to pour down. With our flashers on, we rode slowly on. Water soaked everything that we had, and a line of cars was forming behind us. Most of the other drivers were patient, understanding where we were coming from, while others took the opportunity to pass, splashing even more water on us, causing us to adjust our route, adding to the danger. Just outside of Telluride, the road started to level out, but the rain came down even harder. In front of me, for some reason, Ben had pulled over. John and Gary followed, and I parked my motorcycle behind and got off to see what was wrong. Just 2 miles outside of the town of Telluride, he was out of gas. The disdain toward me turned to anger, and I knew that they were visibly and physically upset with me for making them go out of their comfort zone. I rode into town, got gas, and filled my thoughts with self-doubt and personal anger. Within 30 minutes, we were all safe albeit cold, angry, and a little broken. Gary summed it up well. He said, "I can handle all of what was thrown at me, but I was surrounded by the people that I love the most." See, the next hours for me were sleepless and kind of lonely. I thought of how I had risked the safety of the entire group for my own dream. I was indecisive. At first, I was very indecisive, but then I spoke up. Later than I should have. I tried too hard to please everyone and let my own emotions get the best of me. The next day, the sun was out, and the bitter feelings had softened a bit. As a matter of fact, Telluride turned out to be better than advertised. We woke up in a bed and breakfast that turned out to be a tremendous, beautiful mansion. Several bedrooms, a gorgeous loft, and a hot tub on a deck overlooking the mountains. The town itself had the feel of an upscale mountain village with classy shops and exquisite dining. At the end of the town, an upper road into the Box Canyon, at the base stood a magnificent waterfall, right at the base of a waterfall. In fact, Telluride was the first town in the world to have AC power, and at the very top was the power plant, supposedly the house that Tesla lived. It's also home to several celebrities who live in luxury homes among the mountains. Telluride is home to the acclaimed filmmaker Ken Burns, whose documentary films about World War II and so much more have won awards for their accuracy and intrigue. My uncle has always been a fan of Ken Burns, and when he heard that he was holding a film festival that night, well, we knew we had to go. Unfortunately, it was sold out. More joy, huh? As we enjoyed the town, Ben and I went to get coffee at a local coffee shop, and there, sitting among the people, was Ken Burns himself. We said hello and introduced Gary, our uncle, who was, as I said, a big fan. Well, Ken was particularly interested in Gary's stories about his father, my grandfather, who fought in World War II and had been part of the Normandy invasion. Ken Burns was such a big fan of World War II and all the events that had happened. He wanted to hear story after story from my uncle about his father. And Ken Burns invited us personally to be his guests at the film fest. Telluride, it seemed, was worth the effort. See, we had to go through hell and literally high water to get there. But that made the end so much more worth it. Sometimes the risk you take may seem too much. It may seem overwhelming and daunting, and you feel the weight of the world, but in the end, it's the right choice. Muhammad Ali once said, "He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life." Set a plan. Surround yourself with success and accomplish greatness. That's the weekly update for Friday, May 19th, 2017. I'm Joel Yeast. I'll see you again next week.